The tennis season just started off with a bang. A multi-week affair with insane blowouts, young players locking in and performing at their all-time best, and veterans showing us that they still deserve the spotlight. So, please tell me you brought your snacks, because it's time to ball. This video is sponsored by Grapplesnake. I've been playing with Grapplesnake for years, and I'm very proud to have them as my first channel sponsor. Grapplesnake strings are made in Germany and used by Wimbledon champion Julian Cash. They are constantly pushing innovation by listening to players and evolving their products. If you want to take your game to the next level, check out the link in the description and see why these strings are trusted at the top level. Round 1 opened with American on American violence and had young guns grinding out wins left and right. Michael Zhang, a qualifier and Ivy League psychology student, blitzed the first 2 sets. But Korda clawed his way back and dragged it to a 5th set tiebreaker. But somehow, the psychology student kept his composure, closing it out and took the biggest win of his life. Zhang said afterwards,
"You know, if I beat Carlos Alcaraz in the 3rd round, you know, maybe then I'll consider turning pro."
Elsewhere, Lerner Tien survived a brutal 3-hour and 43-minute war against Marcus Giron. Jakub Mensik was handed one of the toughest draws possible against Pablo Carreño Busta, but he showed real offseason growth with better endurance and shot tolerance, snapping his 5-set losing streak with a statement win. Then came the shock. FAA retiring due to cramps. This man is a certified professional on all levels, and no one saw the Canadian getting bounced out of the Happy Slam. While Fonseca continues to be labeled as the next guy, round 1 was a wake-up call. He was dismantled by a qualifier. Post-match, he denied the lingering back injury he's been dealing with, instead blaming it on poor preparation.
I wasn't 100%. Yet. I'm not saying about pain or injuries, I'm saying about preparation of physique.
But youth wasn't the real story. The legends reminded us why we still watch. Wawrinka shut the haters up and proved why he deserved a wildcard spot. He rolled back the years and beat Laszlo Djere in 4. While Cilic brought breakfast for the crowd and served up 2 bagels, giving us flashbacks to 2018. Dimitrov wasn't as lucky. A wrist injury ended his tournament early. Pericard's return failed him, and Baez survived a 5-setter even with one of the weakest serves on tour. By the end of round 1, nearly every seed advanced. Round 2 showed us exactly why the top dogs are on top. Only 2 seeds fell. One of them is a potential new McDonald's employee. Tsitsipas hasn't made it past round 2 at a slam since Roland Garros of 2024. Cilic kept time traveling, dispatching Shapovalov in straight sets. Now, let me ask you a question. In a 4-hour, 30-minute war, who do you think started cramping first? A 21-year-old prospect or a 40-year-old wildcard recipient who most people think is washed? Well, let me tell you, it's not Stan the Man, because he's an absolute dog and finished off the match with a vintage one-hander down the line to win in spectacular fashion. Meanwhile, Bublik cruised in 3, reminding everyone that when he's locked in, he belongs with the elite. Davidovich Fokina barely survived after squandering a 2-set lead, but ended up getting it done. Zhang's Cinderella run ended early. No Alcaraz upset, no pro career announcement, back to the psychology books. Sposiri survives a 5-setter, which sets up a match against Jannik, who calmly rolled past Duckworth. Ruud cruised into the 3rd round, still baby-free, and Alcaraz looks immaculate even without Juan Carlos Ferrero in his box. And Australia's only hope, De Minaur, is playing some of the best tennis of his career and could make a really deep run as Sinner is finally not in his section of the draw. Round 3 was mostly business as usual. Favorites advanced. Tien handled his opponent in straight sets. Meanwhile, Medvedev flirted with disaster against Marjan. Clawing his way out of a tight 3rd set before cruising through the 4th and 5th. Cilic and Wawrinka's fairy tale ended. Both valiant efforts, but Fritz and Ruud shut the door. Bublik and De Minaur locked in a spot that could be a blockbuster. And Cerundolo stunned Rublev in 3. But his reward is playing Zverev, who has never lost to Cerundolo on hard courts. The Italians thrived. Darderi, Musetti, and Sinner all advanced, though not without drama. After 2 tight sets, Sinner cramped badly in the blistering heat, down 3-1 in the 3rd, and things looked grim. But like a knight in shining armor, the tournament directors decided it was too hot and suspended play to close the roof. Play resumed, and from that point on, Spizzirri stood no chance. Djokovic rolled through in straight sets, setting up a clash with Mensik, who continued to show his improvements. Alcaraz dismantled and looked Djokovician with his new serve and newfound steadiness through the early rounds. Zverev steamrolled Cerundolo, breaking early in every set and never letting up. Medvedev versus Tien delivered, at least if you're a Tien fan. He gave us baseline dominance.
What an extraordinary... has handed out a lesson.
Outside of Alcaraz, nobody has been playing better from the back of the court. Sinner rebounded cleanly, and Musetti shocked Fritz with a ruthless serve +1 game that advanced him into the quarters. Djokovic got a walkover, with Mensik retiring due to an abdominal injury. Exactly the kind of luck Novak needs to chase Slam 25. Shelton started shaky, but then caught fire, and Ruud was sent back home in 4 to start his baby duties. The quarters started off with a bang. Zverev and Tien were electric. They had some of the best rallies of the tournament, and when the rallies went long, Tien was the one to strike. He kept winning the grueling points. The problem was Zverev's serve. 24 aces and an 80% clip on first serves put Zverev in the semis. That has easily been the best match of the tournament so far. Playing the best tennis of your life doesn't matter when you're playing Alcaraz. He's faster, stronger, and simply better, and dispatches de Minaur in 3. Djokovic left everyone stunned, but not for the right reasons. Djokovic opened up playing horrible tennis and didn't just lose the first set, but he also lost the second set. Musetti didn't just look in charge, but Djokovic looked lost. Then, tragedy struck. Up 2 sets, Musetti is forced to retire due to a leg injury. Djokovic hasn't won a single set since the 3rd round, but is into the semis and looks to be taking Sinner's path at last year's Wimbledon. And Sinner versus Shelton? A dud. Sinner now has won 22 straight sets against Shelton, and it's an official matchup problem. And for the first time since 2012, all 4 top seeds stand tall at the Australian Open. Finally, drama.
What's happening here? What's happening here?
Alcaraz surged ahead 2 sets up, cruising towards another final. Then it happened. Cramps, vomiting, and barely being able to move. But somehow, still hitting winners. Carlos lost all control of his body, and 2 sets slipped away on top of being a breakdown for most of the 5th set. But Alcaraz and Zverev will do what they do. One will shrink and another will tower. And being down 5-4 in the 5th set, Alcaraz finds his level at the very end and rallies 3 straight games to bring him to his first Australian Open final.
Moments of brilliance for Carlos Alcaraz.
And that's where the drama should have ended. Sinner has been playing electric tennis all tournament, and Djokovic hadn't won a set since the 3rd round. Initially, everything was going according to plan, but fuck all that. Djokovic dragged Sinner into the depths of hell, keeping rallies short, conserving energy on return, serving immaculately, and white-knuckling his way into a 5th set decider with some of the most aggressive hitting we've ever seen from him. This man was down 2 break points in the 5th set and hit 2 winners in a row like it was nothing. Not only that, he saved 16 break points throughout the whole match. And even after failing to convert 2 match points, Djokovic hangs on by a thread to head into the Australian Open final for the 10th time. Sinner's run ends, and now he's 0-9 in matches over 3 hours and 45 minutes. I think he needs to give Alcaraz a call. It was easily the greatest semi-final day I have ever witnessed as a tennis fan, and the final is going to be historic. One side, a man trying to be the youngest man to win a career slam. The other, our sports GOAT that is going for the elusive slam, number 25, and someone who's never lost an Australian Open final. One man has to fall. The final begins with Djokovic in full control, striking the ball cleanly and giving no room for Alcaraz to breathe. It felt like vintage Djokovic, precise, relentless, and almost untouchable. But if we know anything about Alcaraz, it's that his dips never last long. He stormed into the second set with a different intensity. He grabbed an early break, and from that moment on, it was all gas, no brakes.
Round the net.
It wasn't the cleanest final from either legend, but when it mattered most, Alcaraz found a level that Djokovic couldn't reach. Carlitos becomes the youngest man ever to complete a career Grand Slam. Unfortunately for Djokovic, this will probably be his best and last opportunity to win that elusive 25th Slam. As one legend fades away from his peak, another is still climbing, chasing not just a place in the GOAT conversation, but trying to stand alone at the top.